Hi, everyone, and welcome.
We are so glad to have you here at the Gartner CFO and Finance Executive Conference.
Now, it's no secret that you've been hearing a lot about AI over the past couple of years. We are at the beginning of a new and exciting era, an era where AI will shape everything that we do. But while the world gets excited about the possibilities of AI, Clement and I are here to talk to you about the realities of AI. And the reality is more complicated than it seems.
We're in a transitional period in our enterprises. AI is starting to take over more and more tasks, and I think the question on all of our minds is, what does the future look like for us in 2030? So Nisha and I wanted to start this morning with a little story about how to thrive in a post-AI era. See, this era that we're in is a lot like what happened to the world of chess in the 90s. Now, in the 80s and 90s, IBM developed its famous chess-playing supercomputer, Deep Blue. In 1996, Deep Blue lost a series of games to arguably the greatest human chess player in history, Garry Kasparov. Now, after a little further work the next year, Deep Blue beat Garry, and it was from that moment on, computers were better at chess than humans. Now, I think we're all starting to look at this and saying, well, that looks a lot like our enterprises. AI is taking over more tasks. It's better at some things than we are, but not everything. But we're starting to see the writing on the wall. And here's what we can take away from the world of chess. And it's good news. First, professional chess is still a game of human versus human. The other thing we can learn is that there's a new greatest in history chess champion, Magnus Carlsen, whose key to success is AI, but not quite in the way you might think. And that's the point of the story we want you to focus on.
See, it's no surprise that all chess players today use AI to train and practice. It is commonplace. And you might assume that Magnus's competitive advantage is his ability to memorize more outputs from the AI model. Or maybe he's got some custom AI program that's better than his competitors. But you know, that's just an arms race approach with quickly diminishing returns. Instead, here is how Magnus's coach describes it. Modern chess is like this. If we all follow what the computer tells us, we both have the same source, the same ideas, and guess what? The game will be a draw. So we try looking for on-the-edge concepts. That's chess. That's sport. And what's happening in the game of chess today is no different than what's happening across our enterprise, across industries. Investments in AI are at an all-time high and will continue to skyrocket. Gartner software market analysis shows by 2027, spending on AI software would roughly double to more than $300 billion. Just like in the world of chess, AI is going to be commonplace in our organizations, where every function across every organization will be working with AI to drive productivity, enhance decision-making, automate your processes, and even create new business models. But it's not spending more on AI or replicating what others are doing in AI that will help us succeed. It's how we use AI that will drive our success. Just how Magnus uses AI to discover new winning strategies in chess, the same way we use AI to discover new winning strategies for our organization, that will be the key differentiator that determines our success over the next decade.
Now, here at Gartner, we've been working with over 80,000 executives around the globe on their AI initiatives, helping clients like yourselves answer, what are the right use cases? How do we improve our data? How do we prepare our teams for the new era of AI? And so far, Nisha and I are excited not only by the progress your teams are making, but by some of the benefits you're reporting to us. Collections teams are improving settlement times by up to 40% with AI recommendations. FP&A teams are delivering forecasts with 98.5% accuracy or higher in hours instead of weeks. Employee productivity is up 90% in highly transactional processes, and some teams are saving millions of dollars by automating fraud and risk monitoring. And that's probably why these investments are at an all-time high, like Nisha said. Within the finance function, none of you are projecting any cuts to spending, and most of you are planning increases to spending in AI. But as enterprises continue to invest in AI outside of the finance function, we see real cracks emerging in the promises of AI. It's not the technical side that we're worried about here at Gartner. It's the organizational side. We see real enterprise-level organizational challenges emerging with early adopters. And we want to focus today on 4 challenges in particular that we call the AI stalls. These stalls will be common to all organizations, regardless of geography, industry, size, revenue, or whether you're a public or a private enterprise. And these stalls, they'll derail your teams, slow your progress, and could even upend your organizations. And those 4 stalls are cost overruns, misuse in decision-making, loss of external trust, and rigid mindsets.
But here's the good news. These stalls, they are solvable. But solving them requires an active engagement from us, from CFOs. While all other executives in your organization are focused around the rewards and technical challenges of AI, it will fall on you, the CFO, to navigate the enterprise through these 4 stalls. Solving these stalls will be the winning strategy that differentiates organizations in the AI era. So this morning, we not only want to prepare you on what these stalls are, but also show you what role you will play in navigating your enterprise through these stalls so that we can capture the real rewards of AI. And this has to be a priority for us because our enterprise leaders across all functions, they are so excited about the possibilities of AI. AI has created so much buzz across all industries. In fact, boards are asking about AI 3.4 times more than cloud and 2.5 times more than digital transformation, both of which were top conversations at the board not too long ago. And AI continues to be the top technology for innovation. 61% of our enterprise leaders are relying on AI to drive innovation within their function. Our colleagues across the functions, they're chasing AI benefits in areas like product development, marketing, legal, customer service, and more. But these stalls that we talked about, that will prevent our enterprise from reaping the real rewards of AI.
To show you where your enterprise will hit these stalls, let's first discuss how your enterprise colleagues are investing. Now, there are 2 types of AI investments your executive peers are making: everyday AI and game-changing AI. Everyday AI is focused on productivity. It helps us do what we're already doing, capture the same value, but faster and more effectively. And that's where 77% of your business leaders are focused right now. And the other type is game-changing AI, which enables us to create new value through new products and services, new ways of working, and new business models. And of course, we can apply AI internally to our people and processes, or we can use it in external-facing cases.
Now, what you're seeing here are 4 zones or opportunities where your enterprise leaders are either piloting or have already operationalized AI across your enterprise. And what you're seeing here, these tiny yellow circles, they are some use case examples in each of the zone. So if you can follow me to the bottom left, Here is where your enterprise leaders are using AI to improve productivity within your organization's back office. So for example, your IT team is using Gen AI to code faster. Now, if we move to the upper left, here we're entering AI use cases for the enterprise front office, where, say, your marketing team is using AI to generate content in a matter of minutes instead of days. Now, if you move to the bottom right, here your operations teams are transforming how we deliver core products and services. For example, your service team is using AI models to predict the next asset maintenance. And finally, in the top right, here your enterprise leaders, they are generating new AI-enabled revenue streams and products, such as dynamic pricing or offering robotic-assisted teaching in classrooms.
And regardless of which zone your enterprise is investing in, you will run into these 4 possible AI stalls. So Nisha and I want to use this morning here to talk about each of these stalls with you and the role that we at Gartner believe that CFOs and their teams can play to help navigate the enterprise through these stalls. And we wanted to start this morning with the one that you're probably most comfortable and familiar navigating, cost overruns. Now, cost overruns refers to the growing and unknown cost of AI across the enterprise that has the potential to derail your AI ambitions. Now, cost management's not new, of course, for CFOs, right? So Nisha, where could you and I possibly teach something to CFOs about cost management? What's different here?
It's a great question. We do want to bring to attention how unique AI costs are. See, given how new AI is, we don't really know how much it costs and are learning as we go. And because of this newness, our enterprise collectively have not been doing a great job at estimating AI costs. In discussions with our clients, we have found that AI cost estimates were often off by 500 to 1,000%. And in case you're wondering, no, that's not a typo. So to understand what's driving this high cost variance, let's look at what the typical categories of AI costs are. At a high level, there are 3 buckets of costs associated with any AI implementation: your initial rollout costs, ongoing costs, and experimentation costs. Now let's start with your initial rollout costs. This comes with any technology investments we have been doing and includes things like infrastructure, software, new talent, in this case hiring data scientists, and implementation costs. Now the next 2 buckets, these are new, and we are uncovering these costs with every new AI implementation. So the first, ongoing costs, this is where we go wrong. This is not your typical post-go-live support costs, but this is the cost of maintaining the models, ensuring it's compliant, continuous data maintenance, and some surprising costs like environmental costs of running these large language models. And usage costs, where you pay per employee per query. So consider the costs you incur when your employees start using ChatGPT, where a simple Google search would work. You will be paying per query times employee. That adds up. And finally, the last bucket of cost, which all our enterprise leaders tend to ignore: cost of experimentation or sunk cost. And this is very unique to AI because unlike other technologies, AI follows an experimentation process. Now with experimentations, there are bound to be failures, right? It could be low adoption or simply because we chose the wrong use case. Now, let's see how these 3 categories of costs add up. Within Gartner research, we have a detailed AI cost estimator. In fact, there's a session of this in the conference. And what you're seeing here are cost estimates for a very basic AI deployment for just about a couple of hundred users, where we have already committed over $1 million. Now, I don't know about you, Clem, but for a basic deployment, this number seems a little bit steep, right?
It really is. And if that number doesn't quite scare you yet, let me show you how we project AI costs to profile out over the next few years. The initial rollout costs may be moderate to start with, but as you increase, you'll get into more complex AI models, and then eventually it'll start to taper off again. The cost of experimentation works the same. We expect it to be high today as your teams are learning how to best use AI, and then it'll taper off as you get more proficient in driving ROI with AI use cases. Now, these two buckets of cost, they should remain your immediate focus, given how high these costs will remain over the next 2 to 3 years. But the more surprising thing are the ongoing costs. Unlike traditional technologies, the cost of running AI will actually increase as you use it more. Usage costs will increase as every single employee in your organization starts using AI, and you process more compute jobs, and you process more tokens. It's this spike in future ongoing costs that your executive colleagues are not planning for in their estimates, and it has the potential of negating all of the ROI of AI as usage continues to grow.
And this cost projection, it's not limited to investments only within finance. AI, unlike other big tech initiatives, is universal and is applicable across all functions in our enterprise. All your executives, they're choosing their own vendors, each with their own pricing model, and they're piloting their own discrete AI use cases within their teams. And remember what we said. These AI investments are only going to grow. Over 73% of your peers say they plan to increase AI investments through 2024. So what do you think will happen if we don't get a good handle around these discrete functional investments and the cost projections that Clem just shared? Our organization will suffer from mounting costs overrun that will ultimately bring our AI ambition to a grinding halt.
Now, we are finance leaders. Managing costs, maximizing ROI, that's your bread and butter. And starting with a cost breakdown on a Monday morning, well, that only flies in a room full of finance professionals, right? And probably only after we've let you hit the coffee bar. So let me radically simplify our advice for you here. The best thing that you can do is to unmask the hidden costs of AI for your executive colleagues to avoid the risk of massive cost overruns. And to be really specific in our advice, let's go back to those 3 categories real quick. The first category, initial rollout costs. Our advice here is really just to keep calm, carry on with your current cost management techniques, meaning centralize implementation and vendor management activities to reduce duplication of costs, and scale existing vendors to have a better control over software costs. This will help us manage those scary near-term costs. Now, as our investments progress, we then need to manage ongoing costs. And here, we recommend applying rigor around investment evaluations and how much they will cost. Include those in your ROI calculations and make sure you're really pressuring your colleagues on those ongoing cost projections for any new AI investments. And for any AI models that are already live, monitor the ongoing costs of them running the model very closely and frequently. As you plan to increase usage, review vendor contracts to ensure that you're not exposing your enterprise to unlimited liability as you add more and more users to the software.
And finally, the last bucket of cost, which is the cost of experimentation. Here we need to do 2 things. AI models that are already live should be monitored and analyzed for low adoption rates and drive specific actions to address those adoption issues. But more importantly, we gotta refocus how we prioritize AI investments going forward. Today, your enterprise is focused around running individual AI pilots to enable productivity within their teams. Instead, start to refocus new AI investments to align with the strategic priorities of your organization, whether it's profitable growth or customer satisfaction. This will enable you to manage AI not as individual investments, but as portfolio of projects. Gartner research shows that organizations where AI investments are managed as portfolios of projects are 2.4 times more likely to reach mature levels of AI. See, just with any tech investments, we can't run away from the inevitable costs associated with AI. But if we are diligent in how we monitor and manage these new and unknown costs, we can navigate our enterprise through cost overruns.
And after you've figured out the cost issue, the second stall you're going to run into is the misuse of AI in various decision-making processes. And the problem is really a matter of pacing the organization. Let me explain. Over the next few years, you will see AI play a bigger and bigger role as a decision maker in your organization. And the issue isn't so much where to use AI, as much as how much you use AI in your decision-making processes, how much power you give to AI. And to prove it to you, I think it helps to illuminate what AI really is, to show you the danger that can come from giving it too much power too soon. Now, for those of you who are just getting started on your AI journey, consider this your cheat sheet on AI. And for those of you who are maybe a little further along, this might help you explain AI to others in your organization in really simple terms. And let me start by saying AI is not intelligent. It's human-like, not human. One of our AI analysts, Mark McDonald, who's probably hiding in the back somewhere there, has a really humorous way of proving this. He asked ChatGPT how long it would take to mow his lawn, given a certain size lawn, mower size, etc. The response? Over 5 years. Well, so what is AI really then? Well, it's an umbrella term for a variety of statistical techniques. Or the simpler version, AI is pattern recognition. It includes all the terms you've probably heard, things like natural language processing, large language models, and so on. But for most enterprises, the two techniques we care most about are machine learning and generative AI.
Now, machine learning is the pattern recognition engine for most AI applications. Take a massive data set, ask the machine to find patterns in the data, and there you have it. You're doing machine learning. And patterns are useful because we can do two things with patterns. First, I can predict the next entry in a pattern. At some point in your early school years, you probably encountered the Fibonacci sequence that you see here in the upper right. If you can figure out the pattern and identify the next correct entry, well, you've just done a very simple AI forecast. Now, the other thing you can do with it is identify things that don't fit the pattern. So what you see here in the upper left, an approach that data scientists like to call anomaly and error detection. But in finance, we don't say anomaly. We use words like suspicious invoice, T&E fraud, duplicate payments, etc. And finally, generative AI, the current star of the AI show. That's the process of asking a computer to produce something, a piece of text, video, image, music, based on the characteristics of the pattern that machine learning identifies. Now here's the catch. AI, any AI, whether it's Gen AI or machine learning, only knows what it's been trained on. Basic logic processes, simple ethics, your company policy, unless the AI has been explicitly trained on it, it won't know it. This is important, and keep this in mind when we discuss the third stall in a moment. But remember, AI is human-like. It's not human. So think of AI as a fancy metric more than an intelligent operator, at least for now.
So then an interesting dynamic you will need to manage is how much power you give these fancy math tricks. And there's a spectrum of how AI can be used in decision-making, but since it's Monday morning, we'll keep it simple and just show you 3 basic ways that you can use AI. Now, for simple decisions, you can completely automate them with AI. The AI identifies the need for a decision, determines what to do, and actions it. For slightly more complex decisions, you might say, well, we'll augment the decision maker. The AI flags a decision, proposes a solution, but the ultimate final call is still in the hands of the human. And finally, there's decision support for your most complex decisions, where we plug AI into our current our current decision-making processes as an analytics tool. The need for a decision, the data sources and analysis parameters, and the final decision, all made by the human. AI provides the analysis engine.
Now, the simplest way to think about where we as an enterprise will go wrong is moving too fast. You won't often hear me say this, and this is probably the only time I will, but in some cases, it's our job as finance to slow down the enterprise. But in others, we gotta speeden them up. Think about the CFO as the enterprise coxswain, the person at the front of the boat, pacing oar strokes for the rowers. We haven't set the direction. We are just pacing the rowers to get there. And there's a natural maturity progression from support to augmentation to automation with nearly any AI use case. Most of our enterprise colleagues, what they are excited about are all the benefits of automation, and they will likely overestimate AI's intelligence. They will want to go to the automation solution right away instead of a trial period using more of a decision support or augmentation approach. So our role here is to be the pace setter for the organization's investments in AI. Because automating decision-making too fast can lead to poor decision-making. I mean, just ask Mark McDonald out there, who's probably still there mowing his lawn.
Now, for those of you that are just getting started, push your executive peers to structure their business cases around decision support and augmentation. AI is complex. It takes time for folks to learn how the models work, how to use them, and how to use them in decisions. And for those of you that are a little further on your journey, develop a process to periodically review the performance of your decision automation tools. AI has to be tinkered with and retrained on a regular basis, and that will affect the performance of these decision automation tools. But also, like Nisha said, feel free to surprise your colleagues by being a CFO that pushes your colleagues to invest faster where you think it makes sense. Some of you will have overly conservative leaders who need a little push to get more out of your AI investments. But again, it's really about pacing the organization and how quickly we give AI power in our organizations. Slower sometimes, faster at other times. And remember, to avoid AI being misused in decision-making, your role is to be the enterprise coxswain.
So remember a few moments ago where I mentioned AI only knows what it's been trained on? Well, that is one of the reasons why we may hit our third stall, which is loss of external trust. This is trust with our customers, investors, regulators, shareholders, resulting from an AI interaction. As CFOs, we have an important responsibility to our external partners. We are the primary point of contact for our shareholders. We communicate the company's strategic objectives and keep our board honest on any risks that will impact our strategy. And so it's important we ensure that the investments our companies are making does not break the decades of trust that we have built with our external partners. And yes, while AI provides us with this amazing new opportunities, it's also quickly transforming our business models. We are moving from an era on what machines can do for us to what machines can be for us. In the future, AI is not going to be just a co-worker for our internal operations, but AI will be the face of your organization. They are going to interact with our customers, suppliers, financial institutions, our shareholders. Our business models are rapidly changing. From B2B and B2C, we will see business models transform to M2B, M2C, and even M2M, where machines start interacting with other machines.
But there are some key failure points with this evolution you should know about, where the data that AI is using to interact with external parties is biased or insecure, where our model is not updated to reflect current regulations, or where our people are not skilled to explain AI results to our customers. For example, if you're a financial institution and your AI has denied a loan to a potential applicant, Can your employee explain why that loan was denied to ensure it was free of bias and discrimination? And to make this point, I want to share a fun example from February of this year. A passenger used an airline's chatbot to research the airline's policy on bereavement fares. Well, the chatbot responded that the passenger could apply for bereavement fares retroactively. Here's the problem. That wasn't the company's policy. The chatbot did what it was trained to do. It created a reasonable text response, but it hadn't been trained on the airline policy, so it didn't know what it was. Now, of course, the customer went and pursued that refund retroactively, and the airline refused to honor it, stating it was inconsistent with airline policy. The passenger took this issue to court and actually won the case. The court deciding the case stated that it didn't matter whether the information came from the company website or a chatbot. The company was liable for negligent misrepresentation. So I think it sets two interesting precedents for us. First, that we are liable for the actions of our AI employees. And second, our customers might actually like using chatbots now.
See, we too can be in situations where our AI is interacting directly with our customers, where the information it's sharing it directly to our investors, and we cannot control that. This can lead to AI actions that are contrary to our company policy, providing more and more opportunities for external risk. And as your other executive peers are ramping up AI investments, hiring new digital leaders, it falls on us, CFOs, to collaborate with other executives to drive governance around our AI investments to ensure they're acting correctly, ethically, and compliantly. And we do that by championing an enterprise AI assurance framework. A framework that routinely scans our AI investments for any data, model, human failure modes that Clem just talked about before your AI interacts with our stakeholders. And using this framework, all leaders across your enterprise can evaluate both new and ongoing AI investments, not just on a cost to ROI basis, but also to assess any risk of data, model, or human failure modes that will erode external trust. And it's not a matter of whether you will find failure points, which you will. What matters is our ability to spot them and take appropriate actions to mitigate them before they interact with your external stakeholders. That's what's important here. So for any AI investments that have a high risk of failures, investment should be paused till mitigation is complete. Or proceed, but with caution, for investments where there's a lower risk or risk is contained. And where AI investments can proceed as the risk for losing external trust is minimal. See, as mentioned earlier, AI is moving and changing real fast. It's impossible to get to a zero-risk environment due to the vast scope of AI across our enterprise. But having this assurance framework that your business leaders can leverage will help us monitor and mitigate any risk of external trust as we continue to scale AI across our enterprise.
So to this point then, we've got a better handle on how to manage AI costs, how much to use AI, and how to de-risk AI. But now we've got to contend with a new foe, people. You're probably already thinking about the skill sets you need for AI, but we want to press upon you the criticality of the mindset you need for AI. And before talking about AI specifically here, I want to ask the room a question. How many of you would say that your teams are excited to change again? And before you raise your hand, just know that if you do, I'm going to introduce you to the ERP vendors outside, because it's clearly time for an upgrade. But I bet for a lot of you, the work environment has felt more chaotic, and you wouldn't be wrong for thinking so. The number of change events has skyrocketed. Our finance staff are exhausted.
And then, when you add AI in the mix, our employees across the enterprise, they are now afraid. We have all been through a pandemic and what feels like a new global crisis every quarter, 3 years straight. And every news and media outlet, from Wall Street Journal to your local channel, and even Jon Stewart on The Daily Show, they're all running stories about how everyone is going to lose their jobs to AI. And that's a problem, because fear and exhaustion creates change resistance. We have, or shortly will have, new AI co-workers, and fearful people are rarely welcoming of new co-workers. And yes, we said this earlier, that AI, yes, it does have its limitations, but it's also better at certain tasks than we are. And don't underestimate the psychological impact of that. That's what makes AI so frightening. Not that it can do some of the things that we do, but it can do it better than us. And some of these things are things that our team like to do, or maybe they're comfortable doing, or at least it's familiar to them.
And ignoring this type of issue is a mistake that some teams have made in the past. A few years ago, I was living and working in London, and at that time, a number of our European clients were going through a process of converting business controllers into true business partners. The CFOs had found ways to automate and centralize the parts of the role that employees considered boring or low value, creating reports, managing accounts, etc. So the employees were then sent off to influence business decisions instead of doing these things. But 12 months later, the CFOs found that the finance business partners were still creating reports or helping out on managing accounts, even when they knew the work was quite literally redundant. And it baffled a lot of the CFOs. They'd given their employees what they asked for, more interesting, rewarding work. Why were they still doing the old boring stuff? But from the business partner perspective, it actually made sense. See, at the end of the year, their manager would ask some form of the question, what was your contribution so I can assess your performance? And the finance business partners knew that it was hard to tangibly show and measure influence or impact on decision-making, but they could always point to a report they created or a set of accounts they managed. See, this mistake the CFOs made was that while they told their employees what they wanted them to stop doing, they didn't tell them what they wanted them to start doing or provide any support structures for new ways of working.
AI will cause this exact same problem, but on a massive scale across our enterprise, and it can stall our investments. If we don't invest in the mindset of our organization, resistance from employees will likely grind our progress to a halt. Consider your marketing manager that's distinguished their career on being able to create great ad copy. When we evaluate investments in AI, we need to consider how prepared our marketing leader is for the human change impact within their teams. And there are two easy ways we can go about it. First, we revisit the kind of questions we ask as we're evaluating AI investments. Start by making a simple switch in the criteria you would use by including human change impact.
And let me give you a few examples here of what Nisha and I really mean. Beyond asking some version of what are we trying to achieve with this technology, also ask what will happen as we implement this AI, both to the specific process impacted and any related processes. And rather than just asking, is the tool easy to use, also ask your colleagues, how will your staff react to the use of AI, and how are you preparing for their response? And finally, remember when we said we need an assurance framework? Well, an easy way to start down that path is instead of asking, what are the main risks, how do we prevent those risks, recognize that there is no zero risk. So also ask, how do we classify the types of risk that this AI might produce? And what is our plan to recover and learn from risk events? The key here is that in addition to getting a better sense of where mindset might limit the success of our investments, we're also signaling to the wider enterprise that the impact on humans from AI adoption has not been overlooked. Yes, there are economic realities guiding these tough decisions, but that doesn't mean that we should ignore the impact on humans.
Now, the second thing we can do differently is ask new questions of ourselves as leaders. Don't forget, this mindset shift starts with everyone in this room here. Think of it this way. If you want the quickest, simplest way to differentiate yourself as a popular leader in your organization, start learning AI and model new ways of working. By 2026, we estimate that 50% of regretted staff attrition will be caused by a digital literacy gap between leaders and their staff. So start asking questions if your marketing leader can explain the frustrations of prompt engineering with ChatGPT, whether your FP&A leader can empathize with the frustrations of testing a machine learning forecasting model. And also ask that of yourself, because your staff will expect you to know that. See, we all know how difficult it is to be managed by someone who can't empathize with the challenges of our role. Hey, I know I'm not qualified to give TikTok dance lessons to my kids, and neither would they want that from me, but our research has shown that early adopters of AI, one of the key differentiators was tasking an analytically savvy leader to take charge. Someone who understood the complexity and challenges of AI-related tasks. And when we have enterprise leaders who can understand, empathize, and drive AI investment decisions considering the human impact, we'll have found that our staff are more open to working alongside AI to get the best outcomes for our organization. We'd have turned mindset from a liability to an asset.
So as you reflect on these 4 stalls this morning, remember that these stalls are not technical problems for IT to work out. They're organizational challenges that you all can guide your enterprise through. These stalls are solved by planning for hidden costs, pacing investments to manage risk, championing AI assurance, and asking new questions of yourselves and others. Things that you're already in your wheelhouse, things you're ready to help your enterprise with. While our colleagues are focused on all the technical challenges of AI, CFOs and their teams can ensure the organization is ready to use AI in the right ways. As we said at the beginning, we're at the dawn of a new era. An era where AI will shape not just how we operate as finance, but how we operate as an enterprise. An era of tremendous opportunity if we can navigate these stalls in our path. In the coming months, you'll be in board meetings communicating your enterprise AI investments. You might be contending with an ERP upgrade, and call Nisha for that one, not me. You'll be chasing a million different use cases. You'll be worrying over technical challenges, and who knows what the next global economic challenge is. There's going to be a lot of distractions. But if you can make sure that your enterprise doesn't lose focus on these 4 AI stalls, then you will be a key reason why your enterprise is thriving tomorrow and in 2030. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful conference. Nice job.